Hello, and we're back. You have it locked and you're listening to another episode of Health Bytes. Health Bytes is brought to you by the Public Health Unit of the Ministry of Health and Social Development, and it's basically a program designed to inform, educate, and advocate for health. So last week we talked about disaster preparedness, preparing for the hurricane season, and today we're back again. I know you're seeing a lot of things here on our tables, and today we're going to talk to you about getting your disaster supplies kit ready. We are at the peak of the hurricane season, and we want everybody to be prepared. So I'm your host, Natasha Lettsome. I'm the Public Health Communication Specialist. Right here we have our nutritionist, Ms. Patrice Maduro. We have the Deputy Director of Disaster Management, Ms. Sheniah Jones, and we have our National Epidemiologist Harmonie Massiah. Welcome back, ladies.
Thank you.
No, last week we have to apologize. We had so much going on. We had so much information to share with you. That broadcast was almost an hour long. Today we're trying to wrap it up. We're trying to keep you under 20 minutes. So give us 20 minutes of your time and let us show you how to effectively prepare, not only for you, but for your family, for your children, for the elderly, for persons with special needs. So if you're watching us on Facebook, share this video. And if you're listening to us on the radio, encourage somebody else to listen as well, so we all could be on the same page in terms of preparing for this hurricane season. So ladies, we're here. We have all this amazing stuff in front of us. We want to make sure that we are ready mentally, physically for this hurricane season. Our show today is all about our disaster supplies. Tell us a bit about what's going on here and what are some of the things that we should be putting in our supplies kit.
Well, I'm going to also pass on to my colleagues as well. When you're planning for your emergency evacuation or you're planning for any emergency within your home, you're advised to have a grab-and-go bag. Grab bag, go bag, call it whatever you want, but it should be a small enough bag that you can carry, and it should contain practical things that you would need. And I would also recommend one comfort item. So today we'll be going through what the contents of that grab and go bag can or should be, and then we're also going to be taking a look at what's in my grab bag as an emergency manager. So I'll invite Harmonie and Pat to share some more about all of these tasty and interesting items that we see before us.
All right, so this is generally what we would usually buy in terms of like hurricane supplies. But like you said, for the grab and go bag, we call it the get the heck out of here bag. Okay, you usually select key items to go into these bags, items that are light, non-perishable, and like you said, comforting. And each bag we know will vary from family to family and from individual to individual within that family. So we're actually going to go around and discuss why we selected some of the things that we selected. And we could actually, kind of stand up and start to gesture and discuss some of these products. We're going to start over by Pat's side, Ms. Maduro. I think she's over in that's the hygiene section.
Well, let's stand up and we'll invite you to hold on to your mic so we can capture proper audio and so persons can know exactly what we're talking about.
So over here in our hygiene section, we've got a variety of supplies. We've got deodorant, we've got body wash and lotion, we've got some wipes, feminine wipes, toothbrush, toothpaste. We've also got dental floss, and for the ladies, we do have maxi pads or sanitary napkins.
All right. Hey, what's in the Ziploc bag?
Well, apparently you have a wig.
That's my wig, and during hurricane season, I had wigs put down because I was not about to comb my hair in the aftermath of Irma. Actually, my wig survived Irma. So after that, I just slapped one on, and I was good to go.
And I think that basically some persons, we don't take into account of, what we will need, especially, looking at this and looking at all, the sanitary items, if you have children, none of us have young children at this point here, but, you will want to have diapers, pampers, and formula and all of that type of stuff,
So of importance for women who don't utilize sanitary napkins, they could use tampons. There's also the menstrual cups. I joined Irma. Unfortunately, stress can actually bring on your period, and I think a lot of women experience that as well. The menstrual cups are good because they're made of silicone, and you could just dispose of the blood, rinse it out with water and some soap, and then reinsert it. So it's actually good in that.
And this is the first I'm hearing about that.
There are awesome sauce. You could do everything in a menstrual cup.
Yes, and it's more environmental friendly.
Yes, and you don't feel it, so you don't feel like a duck. It's
something you insert inside like a tampon?
Yes.
And because when you're looking at emergencies, you don't know how long this situation can go on for, and if you're going to be able to access these goods and services, it's good to have that as a backup.
Correct.
So when you're looking at practical planning, yes, you're going to have what you're accustomed to, but by the minute you run out of those 5 tampons and 10 pads, it's good to have a backup, and the menstrual cups can be that backup.
Because I know some women had problems of disposing the pads because during a major disaster, you don't have the normal sanitation routes running. So what are you going to do with them? And after a couple of days, they are going to become very rancid. So some women said that they actually buried them, which comes with a whole nother set of problems. And some said they burned them, which again, burning plastics also produces dangerous chemicals, which can also trigger like respiratory disorders. So that's why the menstrual cups are a good alternative to invest in. So women actually had the ones, the ones that you could wash. The pads that you could wash. I don't think many women are going to gravitate towards that. It also can facilitate water wastage as well. So again, menstrual cups, if you haven't looked it up, that's something that you can and should invest in.
Well, you definitely piqued my interest. I'm going to Google it because this is the first time I'm really hearing about that.
Your gynecologists as well would have information on those as well. So that's another option as well. So next on, we do have some medical supplies. So we have our first aid kit. It's a must. So if you don't have a kit, please source one ASAP. We do have painkillers. We do have, this is cough syrup, cough mixture. And I guess for those stress reliever or to give pleasure times, we do have
in a hopeless
condoms.
place.
And when we're talking about emergencies, you also want to look at those prescription medications that you need. You want to ensure that you have at least a week to 2 weeks supply of those. So if you know of an impending storm, you may want to go and just refill your prescriptions to ensure that you have those handy. And yes, we have a lovely first aid kit on display, but I would also advise persons, you can just look at what the contents of a first aid kit are, and you can just put your Band-Aids, bandages, cold packs in a Ziploc bag. It's handy to carry. Again, yes, we have these beautiful things on the table, but you can look at practical alternatives. Improvise, and it should be something that you can put in a backpack and go with, right? And that can keep you for a couple of days.
And I just wanted to add a little bit here with the first aid kit, and when we're talking about medication, and you just said about 2 weeks, but I think once it's like the hurricane season that they do allow for more.
Refills.
So if you could get as much as you can get, that would be the advice, because I know like after Irma, a lot of people had problems with getting the medication, and then they didn't know the name of the medication. So we also want you to write down the name of your medication just in case that anything happens and you lose it, that you know
what it
exactly
is.
know what medication you will have to replace.
And not only the name, the amount, and how much per
how
day.
much times
Yes,
per day you're supposed
as
to
well.
take it.
Yes, definitely.
So continuing to the front, we do have the mother load. What do we eat? What do we put into our go-to bag? Well, we've got at the front, we've got what you call these, the bars. So we have
Granola
different
bars.
types of bars. So whether granola bars or protein bars, yogurt bars, we've got those. We've got fruit cup. Of course, you know, we want things that easily prepared or ready to eat. So we've got the mac and cheese. We've got tuna, sardine. We've also got jelly, peanut butter. We've got some dry fruits as well. So here we've got prunes, bananas, and mango. We do have a cup of noodles. We do have meal replacements such as Ensure. And also we do have protein powder.
That's right.
Why protein powder? Well, we do want to prevent refeeding syndrome, especially in our elderly and those people who are already malnourished. Now, in a disaster situation, that's something we do have to look out for, refeeding syndrome.
What exactly is refeeding?
Refeeding syndrome actually is a shift of fluids and electrolytes in the body. And what happens is that if it's not put under control, it can actually mess with muscle contraction.
Right.
So your heart will stop. And that's something that we want to prevent. Okay? What else did I miss?
So before you go on, because I think I'm still confused with the refeeding syndrome. Is it something that only affects the elderly?
It affects people who are malnourished or at risk of being malnourished. We know in the elderly, they tend to have a lot of muscle wastage because the older you get, you do tend to get muscle wastage, and also your appetite decreases. So in a sense, they would already be at risk for refeeding syndrome, depending on what their BMI is. So we do want to prevent that from happening, because in an emergency situation, we don't know how readily accessible your emergency services would be, how fast we'll be able to get to the hospital to be treated and stuff like that. So that's something that we want to prevent. Also, we do have a box of candy for those that are diabetic and wants to prevent mild hypoglycemia. We do have that as well. Now, why have we chosen all of these products? Because, you know, we usually talk about healthy eating guidelines and make sure you don't have such high sodiums and so on and so forth. But we have to remember this is an emergency situation. Right. So in a case like that, we are not looking at calories or content or anything like that. We are looking at stuff that are able to sustain you for that period of time. Obviously, when things goes back to normal, then we go back to our fresh stuff, our fresh fruits and vegetables and other perishable stuff.
So
Before you move on, I just have one more question about that. Is it safe for children? You spoke about the elderly, but can children use that as well?
The protein powder?
Yes.
We do. Well, you can use the protein powder in children, and they do have special formulations for children as well. I know the other day I was discussing with Harmonie about Complan, and Complan is one that you will find in the clinical settings as well, but that's something that you can find in the pharmacies as well. So what you would do, you would add it to any drink, any food substance, any soup, because people will get canned soups as well. So you could add it just to bulk it, and then you get that extra protein and that extra energy, and you're good to go.
And we were also discussing getting like Ovaltine and Milo. Milo, which is better, by the way, people.
Ovaltine.
Because I don't understand this Ovaltine. It's not even a debate. No one used to go into the Ovaltine and take scoops of it and eat it. You could only do that with Milo.
She says. But let's continue.
But Horlicks has a very good vitamin and mineral ratio. And it's actually very good that you can add the protein to it or the Complan to it, so that you actually have a very a nutritional protein shake of sorts.
Yes.
Even though we're in an emergency setting, we're really trying to stay away from the ramen noodles, such as these, the MREs, things that are heavily processed. And the reason being, things like ramen noodles, especially in women, if you're eating it 2 to 3 times a week, you usually find that they're at an increased risk for metabolic syndrome because of all the high levels of sodium, the high levels of saturated fats, right? So it can actually lead to high blood pressure, high blood sugar, and these are things that we really want to stay away from. The processed foods can also damage your liver. Okay? So really, if you're preparing for hurricane, you really want to go towards your sardines, your tunas, your peanut butters,
and the low sodium.
the low sodium options. All right, because yes, we're in an emergency setting, but you still do need to keep your health at the forefront.
Yes. And I actually recommend in emergency situation, one of the best foods that you can get is actually peanut butter. Because peanut butter, you have a good source of all of your macronutrients. You have a good source of niacin, which you would need to metabolize glucose for that energy. And so it's one of the best things that you could actually have in your hurricane supplies kit, peanut butter. That's if you're not allergic to nuts.
Yeah.
But it's a good sauce.
And you should probably, during the hurricane season, hook it with somebody who weight lifts, just, because we're not rolling without the protein powder. I can tell you that. So over here, we have, what is this? Our utility section of sorts. So we have like your energy bank, or you could actually put like an alternate cell phone as well in here in a waterproof case. We have, of course, extra batteries. We do have a utility knife of sorts. So it has a knife, it has the corkscrew, it has like the bottle opener. We have a very small radio as well. We were trying to find the hand crank one, but that's something you should invest in. We have a lantern, and this is very powerful actually. All right, so these are some good things that you can get off of Amazon, and they're very cheap. We have duct tape, because you never know when you have to fix stuff, or if you are in a hostile situation, restrain someone, okay? And we have a whistle, which is very good for ladies to take with them. For example, if you're going to the bathrooms, but I know after Irma, they had a lot of the little stalls set up away from the camp. And I know there were reports of women being harassed. So if you take the whistle with you and you blow into it forcefully, it will generate a lot of noise and hopefully scare off the attacker or notify someone that you are in danger. And of course, we have another extra power bank, just in case your phone runs dry. And because we're in the COVID-19 pandemic, you cannot forget your mask, right? I mean, of course, you can invest in a good cloth mask, a 2 or 3 layered cloth mask, not the regular mask that you just see people walking around with. That's 1 layer. That is not going to protect you. All right, and then we have a thermometer. All right, which means that you could obviously monitor the signs and symptoms in your family, at least to see whether or not they're febrile. And over here we have, I guess this will be the miscellaneous section. So we have some bug spray. We do have some extra shoes, and they should really be sturdy. I call these my foot gloves. So you can they can get wet. They dry very, very quickly. The soles are reinforced. So if you step on something sharp, it's not really going to penetrate it. And the reason for this being, if your regular shoes get wet, like your sneakers, walking in them, especially with wet socks, you can develop blisters over a period of time. So it's good to you have some dry shoes that you can change off into. Of course, we cannot forget our disinfectant wipes, our hand sanitizers. This is very nifty. My mother told me I have to return it to her. These are some aqua tabs. So you can actually use this to kind of, you drop it into, for example, if you've been catching rainwater, you can drop it in, and it will help to disinfect the water and make it portable. Portable meaning safe for drinking. All right. Then we have a waterproof bag that you can store all of your documents in, like your passports, some cash. Okay, you also need a pen and a notepad. A pen because you never know what you may need to sign if you're going into a shelter or what's not. You may have some documents that you may have to register or to sign. Then we have the antibacterial wipes. We have a towel. We have a blanket. Some persons have a sleeping bag. It's your preference. And I have my gym equipment. I'm sorry, I'm not going anywhere with this, without this. These contain my resistance bands and ankle weights and what's not. Because for me, fitness is paramount, so I will more than likely have this in my to-go bag.
Excellent.
Wow is all I can say looking at this spread, because really, when you think about, having your supplies kit ready, you don't think about all this extra stuff. I know for me, my focus is on make sure we have battery operated fans and, keeping the children cool because, after I'm making sure I have a stove because I have a electric stove to make sure I have a little range that I could cook on. I was more looking at the technical stuff. I definitely don't have the tape. What kind of tape?
Duct tape.
The duct tape.
Yes.
I don't have the duct tape and I don't have a lot of these. So I know that persons who are looking right now, this is a huge eye opener in terms of some of the things that we should have. Sheniah, how effective do you think this spread is?
I think this is an excellent example of what we should consider for putting in our backpacks. I also want to differentiate between two things. When you are preparing for an emergency situation within your home, of course you can have excess of this and you can have multiple things stored in your pantry being guided by the food supply that's available here as an example. But when you're talking a go bag, now you need to look at how do I condense all of these. And looking at condensing this, yes, bug spray is a necessity, but it's also a luxury item, so you're going to want to look for a smaller canister, right? Or even natural things that can be used to prevent those. With the mask, yes, I agree. You want to ensure that you have the best possible mask, but when you're looking at your go bag, you want to look at those reusable masks, and importantly, that Harmonie stated, it must be those 3-layer cloth masks that offers you the proper protection, right? Reusable because you can wash and go. This you will exhaust within a week. Right? The thermometer, yes, that is good to have at home, but you may not carry it in your go bag because you'd want to include space for something else. With the lantern, this is excellent. You can have as many of these as possible within your home. There are a number of solar lanterns that you can have too. But I would encourage in your go bag, you want to ensure that you have as many power banks that are charged up because your cell phone can be used as a flashlight, and you'd also want to ensure that you have a small mag light as well. I love the portability of this radio. It doesn't take up much space, and you can tune into any local radio station and connect. And for that purpose, of course, ensuring that you have extra batteries. Now, batteries become a bit technical because you have to also consider for everything that I'm putting in my go bag, are those battery operated? And what are the different sizes do I need to walk with? So if you look at practically what you will be taking, you may want to look at as many things that can be charged up and then can be solar powered after that, right?
So is it one to-go bag per person in the household?
Yes. We would advise that for everyone within your household, you have a to-go bag. This will help you to maximize your stash as a family if you need to evacuate, as well as if for whatever reason you get separated. That individual would still have their personal items with them.
And now what should this go bag look like? What type of bag? Is it any old backpack or is it a specific type of bag we should be using to compile these supplies?
I would recommend that you don't want to put persons in a state of, oh my goodness, I have to go get this specific item. So practically, it can be any backpack or handbag that you're comfortable moving around with. That's comfortable and portable, but you also want to look at durability.
Yes, because I think, Pat, where's the bag that we walked with? Because, let me see. Yes, because, all our bags are going to look like that.
This is actually my gym bag. This is actually my gym bag that we transformed into the go-to bag.
Go-to bag.
Yep.
And actually, it would be good if we actually packed it right now to tell
Yes.
let's do it.
Let's
But
Let's
a
pack
bag
it.
at that size, Harmonie, everything could fit in there. You don't really have to differentiate.
What?
That's a big bag. I mean,
It
it's a
is.
sufficient size.
It is a sizable bag that you can move around with. So, yes. Again, just ensure that it's durable. And I just want to make one note before we break and we condense and pack water, drinking water. Yes, we can move around with as many bottled waters as we think we can carry. But what may be more practical is, as Harmonie mentioned, those water purification tabs and having a canister for collecting water.
And can you just mention where they would get these water purification tablets?
Well, Harmonie mentioned purchasing online, but you can also check some of our local suppliers to see if these are available. For example, Clarence Thomas and other stores similar to that would stock water purification tablets. So you want to check locally, and then if you're not able to find anything locally, of course you can check the conglomerate Amazon to see if you can purchase those items that are needed.
Excellent.
Wonderful. So now let us see how you're going to pack your
We're
grab
gonna
bag,
pack- yeah, we're
what
gonna-
you're going to put in,
yeah.
and, talk us through it. Why you choosing
We're
this
going to pack
particular?
and she is going to tell us whether or not we did a good job, because I've never packed a to-go bag in my life.
Neither have I, so this should be very interesting.
Okay. So we want to remind you that this should be something standard that you have in your homes. It's not just for the hurricane season, but you want to ensure that you have an emergency go bag should you need to evacuate. And remember, ladies and gentlemen, another one of those things that is key is to have your important documents, birth certificates, passports, some level of cash. Cash is very important for you to have in that go bag to take with you.
All right. Okay.
So, let's try and pack these
So we're
go
gonna.
bags.
All right. So you can throw my wig in there. That's the first thing you gotta secure.
Doesn't leave without a wig.
Okay, wig. So I as fast as you pack, I'm just gonna comment. Yes, a wig is not the most practical thing, but we saw how toe up a few young ladies did appear after the storm. We had that experience. So for those of us that want to preserve our vanity, yes, you can. And as I mentioned, you should have one comfort item, something that when you hold or put on or use, it just reminds you that we're going through an emergency period, but things are going to get better. So it helps with your mental state. So Harmonie's wig helps her to feel normal.
But I think Harmonie,
No, that's not my cover item. That was because, my mother was a slave driver and we did not have time to comb hair. So I just plaited up one night and the wig was just that, and I just woke up and we just rolled. That was what it was.
but I feel, Harmonie, in your to-go bag, you need to
This is
decide
going
the gym or the wig.
This
I don't
is
see
going-
you taking both.
Hello.
Gym, the wig,
Hello.
the shoes. I mean,
Hell-
I don't understand your bag. Maybe
Y'all
you weren't the best person to pack this
Listen,
bag.
if I have to strap this onto the side, this is good. This is
So
coming.
for Harmonie's going to have two comfort items. She's going to have her wig and she's
gonna
going to
have
have
a suitcase,
her gym stuff. So let's put her gym stuff.
that could go in the child's bag even.
It's okay.
Put in her shoes. Put in her shoes.
Yes,
Well,
you do.
we do need our
you
shoes.
do. You do need.
Yes.
You do need what I did not see. You do need a change of clothes.
Yes.
change of undergarments,
Yeah.
and an extra pair of shoes and a pair of socks. So you also want to ensure that you have that with you, and it should be comfortable material that you're putting on. You could also look at durability as well. For my go bag, it's something that's comfortable because we're going to be in the NEOC. We're not going to be out there in the wild. We're going to be in the National Emergency Operations Center. So we would have a change of clothes, of course, with our logo on it. You'd also want something that you can sleep in.
Okay. Okay, so continuing on this end, we do have the hygiene
deodorant.
products, so the deodorant,
The pads.
toothbrush, sanitary napkins or maxi pads, that's a must.
Mine would be the cup. Wipes.
I would
just
put
say.
wipes in, that's just me.
Just in case you don't have
without
water
it.
and you still want all the fresh.
I know Sheniah would comment on the types, but we do have the body wash and lotion, and then Sheniah would comment which is the best type to
I'm just gonna jump in. Yes, I am a fan of body wash and skin lotion, but we're talking emergency. We're talking go bag, which has to be very portable. So I would recommend. I know persons don't like it, but for emergency, in your emergency go bag, you're gonna want a block of soap that's gonna last longer than your body wash. It's just a recommendation. You can have your body wash in your bag, but just know when it runs out, you're going to switch to that block of soap.
Body wash y'all putting in your hand.
This is a portable bag that we're looking at. And for portability, a bar of soap takes up, it's an alternative. It takes up less space and it also lasts longer.
I have less surface area to work with, so
Yes. Again,
just
personal preference.
Sheniah, I can tell you what Harmonie's problem right now is. Her problem is she is just thinking about herself because she doesn't have kids to worry about. So her bag is just going to be filled with her vanity.
yes.
no,
Yes.
but
Yeah.
individually, but also for liquid soap from a health wise perspective, we know that bacteria multiply a lot faster on bar soaps.
Yes.
So that's why for me, I don't use bar soaps at all.
Agreed, but as an emergency,
Yes, bar soaps
everyone,
you can put. Yes, you can use bar
everyone in your
soaps.
household is going to have their own
bar.
backpack,
Okay,
and they
right.
should have their own bar
Yeah.
of soap. Right?
Okay, so moving on, of course, if you take medication,
Hold on. Just before you move on, I see
Okay.
that you still have
the dental
one
floss.
dental floss. Wow, this is brilliant and beautiful, and it's going to help you for 150 days. You may also want to look at just the regular old floss in the pack, right? Again, we're looking at space, practicality, and just being able to move with it, being portable.
Or have a water flosser. Those things are the bomb.com.
Okay.
I feel so ancient. First, but wait. I mean, I don't know if it's just me or I know our viewers are going to be wondering, why did we pack, all this kind of extra stuff first? Because now when we come to the real stuff in terms of, taking care of your health in terms of the medicines and the food and the stuff, it's not going to fit in there.
We can make it fit.
So does the order in terms of packing, does it matter?
I would say yes. You want to, this is a very good example. You want to spread everything out so that you see, okay, this is what I'm going to want to take with me. And you go through the packing exercise like, no, we need to trim this down.
Yeah.
So therefore you prioritize. And as I've been advocating, you want to look at those alternative things or alternative items that you can purchase that, helps you to still have what you need, but it's just taking up less space. In terms of importance or priority, you definitely want to have the radio, you want to have the whistle for attracting attention, your medication, you want to have those. This is great, but I would say an alternative that's smaller to provide you with lights. You also want to ensure that you have the battery packs and those extra batteries. Believe it or not,
I realize you ain't taking on the food.
this is important, right? This is important. How long did they say man can survive without food and water?
You don't have to. Wait,
2 weeks of food. About 3 days, 3 to 5 days about water.
Okay, so we are going to ensure that we put in snacks and food items in this bag. You keep them together, just, packing, and me being very anal and wanting to recommend, these, but you may want to put them in a Ziploc bag or separate them into smaller bites so that they fit more comfortably into the bag.
Yes.
But please continue.
Yes. So while we're on the topic of food, this is what I personally would carry. For me, I would opt for bars because those are smaller.
Yes.
I would also take, where's my peanut butter?
You're taking the alcohol, girls, mental health.
Alcohol could go on the side there. Of course, we will have some sort of, the crackers in the foil, in the foil tin. So the peanut butter with the crackers, that will be complete. Rehydrated fruits, these are a good option as well. For those of us who like our teas, if you have access to water, I would take a couple packets of tea as well. And of course, candy or sweets, especially if you're diabetic, and small stuff like maybe a fruit cup or the small bags of chips. Those things that are small enough.
No tuna, no sardines.
They come last.
They come last. They could fit in after, but I opted for the meal bars because those are high in protein, and I could get everything in one. It just that small. In just that small packet.
Yeah, so why it would have been taken in my to
and
go
also
back.
they do have like the freeze-dried types of foods, the MREs. They have those if it can fit. You do have, if you have access to hot water as well, that could fit in your packet. I wouldn't take this entire bottle of protein. I would put some in a smaller bag and fit it in. Obviously, if you do have children, you'll want to pack like baby formulas and stuff like that in the bag as well. And for those who need a distressor, I don't know if the alcohol would fit, but Harmonie wants the alcohol.
So Harmonie gets 3 comfort items.
No, because if I'm going to someone else's home, we all get a comfort item.
Okay. So I just want to comment on those ready-to-eat meals ready-to-eat or MREs. There is a wide proliferation of this available. We saw quite a number of these come in post-impact with the 2017 storms. We don't exactly recommend that this is the first choice of persons, and I think Pat would have already stated that. So you want to ensure that you look at those other food types before you move towards the MREs. Reason being, with MREs, the prolonged exposure or digesting of that, it takes a toll on the body, and in some cases it can either cause diarrhea or it can cause constipation.
And it actually slows down the digestive process because some of them is actually made from a petroleum-based product. And I know there was a video circulating about it takes over 2 hours just to break it down and digest it. And that type of prolonged breakdown can actually hinder the absorption of other nutrients. So you could actually end up being malnourished as a result.
So while, yes, it's great and they're attractive, we would recommend those protein bars, the crackers, the sardines, tuna, those canned foods that we're accustomed to, because this may take a bigger toll on our digestion. So, yes. Right. So are you finished with your bag? Let's keep going.
And the painkillers as well. I, for one, will need painkillers in my bag.
You need your important documents and your emergency plan.
You want the blanket?
You want a blanket. Okay, we're in the tropics. There you go. What else do you want to put in that bag? Don't forget your keys.
Those mosquitoes be biting.
You need your keys. If you have car keys, your home keys, you'd want to ensure that you have those.
Garbage bag.
Oh my goodness, we're going to come to that in a bit, but what about your mask? We're in COVID. You have your sanitizer, you have your mask, you got disposable bags.
You get
You
drip
want
dry?
a whole towel? Okay, here you go. Here's a towel. Mhm. What about a tool? You need a tool.
Yes, the utility knife.
Utility knife. Okay, that's going to help to unbottle that utility bottle that you put in there as well. Here you go. What about your battery pack and your batteries? Right? So let's see how heavy this bag gets and if it's practical.
Do you think you can run to the shelter with this?
I can, because I work out. So
And for demonstration purposes, we're just going to imagine that these were broken down into smaller packs and placed in. So you have your water tablets, and you also have some protein bars in there to help the digestion moving along.
Yes.
You have some fruits,
Yeah,
right?
I've packed the other dehydrated ones in here already. Yeah.
I see you have jams
some
and
jam.
jellies. Of course, at home in your pantries, you can maintain these, but these are not exactly the most practical for you to grab and go with. And I'm sure these ladies will explain in another segment some more about how you can preserve foods at
yes.
home.
All right, Pat, zip us up and lift us up.
We should have had a scale.
I didn't see you include your pleasure items and your first aid kit.
No
So is
first
that
aid kit.
something that you want to go with?
You never
Is
know,
that
you know. You
emergency?
might.
Oh, goodness.
Don't know where you might find love.
Blush, blush. Okay, ladies, let's continue and see.
For me, I would not
Yeah,
pack
yeah.
the condom. I would prefer to put another food item than the condom
I prefer.
in my bag.
Oh, all right.
Abstinence is good
But-
during emergencies. Okay, and our first
But
aid.
the first aid, I would take this along with other medications that I
Yes.
do have. That would be one of the first things actually that I would pack in my bag.
That would have been the bottom. I would have put that.
Right, and just to remind our viewers, you would want to break this down, put it in a Ziploc bag so that it's easier to
Yeah,
carry. So in Pat's bag, she has her first aid items, medication cache. She has her important documents. She has a flashlight, I think. She has her keys. She's also put in extra shoes, but reminding persons you need an extra change of clothes, socks included, undergarments included, and you also have your toiletries in there. We ensure that you have your hand sanitizers, face masks, food, and there's some water purification tablets in there as well, and hopefully a canister for your water. So
All
let's
right.
see
Moment of truth.
end result. Oh,
And
there's also a wig.
And let us not forget, if you're running for your lives, you're going to be on an adrenaline rush, and that gives you extra strength. So, all right, that's
not
a
too
good,
bad. It's not too bad.
Let me feel that. Let me
Yes.
feel that.
Oh,
Too
Lord.
bad.
It is too bad.
Yeah, it is. It is
It
way
is
too bad.
very-
When we work out,
That's not practical. That's not practical.
practical for
No,
me.
this is not practical
That's
at
not
all. This is not practical from an emergency manager standpoint. It really is not.
But bear in mind, we do have a lot of the larger options in there. So when we break it apart,
Yes.
break it down, it would be lighter.
Break it down for portability, be
Yes.
practical. And yes, you can have a comfort item. Don't go past 3 because then you're just going to be packing things that you don't need.
You heard that, Harmony?
And we also have Harmony's backpack. She also included something that she needs to stay grounded, which is her exercising gear. So that's good for Harmony, right? So I took the liberty of walking with
It's your.
my pack. And remember, I work in emergency management, so my pack is going to be a little different. And I also took the liberty of walking with my nephew's emergency backpack so persons can see, before we go to this one, so persons can see what would be included in a child's backpack, right? Similar information. So, okay. So in this, he has it's a water bottle with his name on it. So there's that. Going through the zippers very quickly. There are some snacks in here, portability, right? He also has a tiny first aid kit, which has bandage, some bandages, and also those antibacterial wipes and creams that you'd want to have, and he has his little hygiene and toiletries kit, right? So right in there, he has his little hand soap, his floss, his body wash. He also has his mask and some antibacterial wipes, right? Again, small, tiny for portability, and he also has his little extra toothbrush.
How come
That's
he gets
in there.
body wash and we have to walk with a bar soap?
We were just looking at how long we were going to be in this situation, and you can use your bar of soap to also wash your garments if needs be. He has hand sanitizer, and there's an extra little one that he has also in the
That's
bag.
cute.
And you know, because it's children, you want to ensure that you have something cutesy, tiny, that keeps them engaged, that can double as a toy as well. So in the larger part of the bag, there is, of course, change of clothes, right? So here's pajamas, his brief, and his little baddie. This is his comfort toy or little teddy bear. That's included in here. There's an extra pair of shoes as well. Right? Okay. Thank you.
You know what I like? I love how they're all labeled.
Labeled.
I like that.
They're labeled and they're packed in their little individual packets.
Nice.
Right? Oopsie. So just putting that back in there. This is his extra clothing, so it's already labeled, like Harmonie pointed out, change of clothes, shirt, pants, brief, socks, more mask.
And this is for one change of clothes?
This has 2 change of clothes for
Okay.
a child, right? So it's interesting as a parent, you want to also just label. It helps them and it keeps them engaged, right? For kids, you also want to look at having their little activity books. This one also tells a story. It helps him or her to color, draw, etc. There's a notebook. My nephew, he likes to draw, so his mom ensured to include a sketch pad, little flashlight, portability, right? And then a whole activity or gaming center with tiny toys, a pack of cards, crayons, marker, a pencil, and a sharpener, right? There you go. I think that's it.
Yeah.
I like this.
There's also
I like how organized it is.
Yeah.
there's also, or maybe I haven't found it as yet in the bag, but also included in the bag should be a contact card for your child, given the name of the child, their age, their address, phone number, parents' name and address, parents' name and phone number, if the child has any allergies, if they're on any medication. And this particular youth is not on any medication, but you'd also want to include a copy of their health card,
Right.
A copy of their immunization record as well, right?
So they think they're allergic to and stuff like
Yeah.
that.
Yes.
What I've found,
medication ID
what they've
bracelet.
started
Yes.
selling are the health bracelets that they're allowed to put like the health information on, the name, the address, and what's not, so that if they're lost or if something happens, they have to be rushed to the hospital. The doctors can look at it and
Yes.
see exactly what pre-existing conditions that they have.
And with everything that was on the table was pretty much an alternative was included in here. And Path, if you can be the deciding factor, just give it a hef. Can a kid carry this?
But that's for kids. That's for kids.
So it is. It's this one.
She going mountain climbing.
This one is for a kid. Now, I'll be honest with you. My grab bag for work, no, it's not heavy. It doesn't even look like this. It's a lighter bag, lighter material, but more durable. But for presentation purposes and just to prove a point, I wanted to show that you want to get a bag that's durable. We have a few persons that are going to go overboard. So like my husband, for example. So you're going to want a bag with lots of pockets, zippers, etc., so you can separate things.
So your husband is me. Okay.
Okay.
Lift that bag.
This one,
This one has some weight, to be honest.
it has some weight, but it's still lighter than Harmonie's bag. And it doesn't include a bottle of wine at all and exercise stuff. So because I'm in emergency management, of course, I'm going to have my VHF radio. All staff members are assigned VHF radio. This just provides us with an extra means of being able to communicate. ladies, that's my pack.
Wow.
Mary
Wow.
Poppins.
Yeah. It just kept coming. It was like, what else is in there?
In that little bag. That's a lot of stuff.
That's
You
the
have
thing.
some really good packing
Wow.
skills.
That is the thing. You want to ensure that you're able to have the list of items, but it must be in something that you can grab and go with, right? So, yes, thank you.
Well, wonderful. We started off this little Health Bite session talking about 20 minutes. And you have to forgive us because we wanted to do a thorough job. And, just basically trying to show you different approaches to make sure you have all what you need. We all remember Irma and her cousin Maria. And we're calling for active hurricane season. We're in the end of August, almost September, which is the peak. So we just want you to be prepared. Ladies, we went way past our 20 minutes, but I think this was such an awesome program because it was so hands-on. I myself sitting here and I'm a past disaster management person. I'm like, okay, I am really lacking. I am really lacking. And, this show has taught me so much to make sure that not only myself, but, I have kids, we are prepared for any eventuality as we're still in the peak of the season. Ladies, any final thoughts before we wrap up?
Do we have final thoughts? We did want to try the MREs.
We did, but that would be for another time.
These can be some outtakes, right?
Yes.
Just some of those food and just telling you, no, this one's
And
a
it
pass.
looks interesting, coconut chicken, coconut curry.
The one was the dehydrated ice cream sandwich.
So if Dorian, if you can zoom in on this, persons can see, if our cameraman can zoom in, this is an actual ice cream sandwich.
That's interesting.
And that is something that you
honest.
would actually look to eat. Like you would actually eat that? Because I wouldn't sit down and
we don't know. The kids might like it, but we don't know yet. We have to try it to see whether or not these are feasible options. Because you could just throw a stack of them in your bag and go.
Right. And in the absence of that, we'll remind persons, let's utilize what we have locally.
Yes,
Stick to
Sheniah.
things that you're familiar with, because we also have to be mindful of allergies and allergens. So let's stick to things that we know. I personally would recommend that we limit the use of these
processed
MREs,
foods.
of processed foods. We recognize that, yes, we're going to need to use the tuna, the sardines, but Pat has indicated to us there are some things we can do to modify those foods to lessen the sodium or to stretch them as well.
Yes.
Definitely. But once again, ladies, I want to thank you for coming on the program today. And, Health Bites, like we said, we're here to educate, inform, and advocate for health. Our first two sessions were basically geared towards hurricane preparedness. Come back next week. We're going to talk about psychological preparedness, and we're going to have Dr. Rubain on the program with us and some other guests. So tune in this time next week for another edition of Health Bytes. I've been your host, Natasha Lettsome, Public Health Communication Specialist. Remember, give us a thumbs up. Share this with somebody that you care about, just to make sure we all collectively are prepared this hurricane season. Once again, thanks for tuning in.